everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show YouTube channel. The best way to support the show on this YouTube channel is to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and or share it with a friend. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and whichever way you choose to support the show, I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. I hope that today's message and episode brings some bit of positive change to your life. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and today we're actually doing a Q&A. So I asked you guys for some questions on my Instagram. You guys replied with quite a few with a variety of different topics. So we're going to get right into that. But before we do, I wanted to remind you guys that Evolve the Retreat is an event that I'm hosting here in Houston, Texas, May 12th through 15th. So this is an open event for everybody and anyone that wants to come and evolve in person with myself and the rest of the Evolve community. It's going to be a small, intimate group. We're going to do different things like going to Offland for a day, having training seminars. We're going to do yoga. We're going to eat food. We'll go to jiu-jitsu. You guys will get to either do your first jiu-jitsu class ever, which is going to be so much more fun than whatever's going on in your mind. Like, it truly has become such a just love and a passion of mine, and I'm really glad I gave it a shot. So I wanted to provide that space for you guys to be able to learn and give it a shot yourselves. Or if you're already into it, then you're going to like absolutely love this. I have some of my favorite instructors that are going to be a part of it. We also just added a breathwork session and a cold plunge session, which you guys are not going to be forced to do anything. But if you've ever wanted to try the cold plunge, this is the best, safest, most loving environment to be able to get to do it. I will literally coach you guys through it. It'll be incredible. So there's a lot of different elements that I believe have just really helped me to evolve in my life, to break free from where I currently was at in my life, and to really just grow into something so much more. And so I've created an event around that so that you guys can have the opportunity to do that in your lives as we all connect and have fun and laugh, make friends. So it truly is going to be an incredible event. If you guys have questions about this, or there's something that's on your mind or something that's kind of holding you back, feel free to send me a DM and say, hey, I'm really considering coming to the retreat. This is my question, or this is kind of my concern, or this is what's coming up. And I would love to talk through that with you guys. So hopefully you guys can make it. It's going to be a really incredible time. I cannot wait for this weekend. So let's go ahead and dive into the episode. So for today, I did not read through all the questions. This is actually going to be a surprise to me, but I do have my assistant Jess. She's off camera and she's going to be reading the questions. So hello, Jess.
Hi.
Alrighty, let's just dive right in. Let's get it in with the first question.
All right. This is very bold of you to like not have read them at all.
The truth is we can edit out anything we want. We
Yeah.
don't want. But yeah, honestly, I always say that and I never end up editing
I
anything.
know, never.
So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Question number 1. Are you planning on competing again?
The question everyone wants to know. We're going to lead with that one. Okay. The truth is never say never, but that's not where my current season has me. I think about it a lot and I do love it. And I definitely like still feel that fire and that passion for it. So it's not gone, but it's just not the season that I'm in right now. I know myself and I know life. Anytime you're like, oh, I'll never do this. It's like that happens, right? People would ask me, would you ever move back to Texas? And I was smart enough to say never, but I don't plan to. Right. So now like I really understand the gravity of that if you guys don't know, I live in Texas. So it's like when people ask me that, I just don't know. It's not the season I'm in right now, but will I return to it? Maybe. I think that'd be really cool. We'll see.
For sure. All right. How did you start your journey? I'm assuming they mean your health and fitness journey.
It just says, how did you start your journey?
Yes.
In general, nothing else?
Nope, that's it.
How did you start your journey? Okay, I guess they mean my health and fitness journey. I was always an athlete growing up. I did volleyball, basketball, track and field in high school, which is not saying much. I went to a tiny school. You can literally do anything you want there. I could have been, a captain of every team if I wanted, I'm sure. That's not true. There are people better at me at every sport, but I'm just saying like we could do whatever we wanted. So I was always into athletics. After high school, I missed practice so much. I missed going to practice. I missed getting my butt beat at, volleyball and track and basketball. And so I found myself in the weight room and I became obsessed with training because it was a really healthy outlet for me. I honestly used that as a way to process a lot of emotions and things that I was going through that I didn't really know how to process, and I wasn't going to therapy back then. I couldn't even pretend to afford therapy back then. So honestly, the weight room was my therapy. And I would have people come up to me and say, like, what are you training for? Like, you're training like an animal. And at that point, I didn't even know that people would like train in the gym for things. So I literally looked at them and I was like, for life, like, I don't know what to tell you right now. I'm literally just, I don't know. Does this make me crazy? But I loved it. I loved pushing myself hard. I loved reaching different goals in the gym. And that was kind of like my entryway into eventually leading into bodybuilding.
Awesome. All right. How did you get so incredibly misinformed about masks and vaccines?
Well, let's apply some logic here. If I'm incredibly misinformed, especially about the masks or the you-know-whats, then shouldn't we all start to drop dead pretty soon now that the mask mandate is lifted off of airplanes?
Right.
And also, what about the Super Bowl? And also, what about all these other massive events with hundreds of thousands of people? Anyways, honestly, like, you cannot be helped at this point. If you are still holding on to that, like, there's nothing I can do to help you or speak truth into you. And I release you with all the love.
Love it. How do you be a guest on your podcast?
That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that. No, I guess, I have been really blessed to be in this industry for a very long time. So I'm currently working through my current network. So a lot of the people that I have on my show, all of the people that I have on my show, minus very few people, I've already had long relationships with, or I've already known them for a while. There's been a very few handful of people that I didn't really like have a good friendship with or didn't know them ahead of time. But even that, it's always like we end up being in the same circle and then we're like, oh, we should connect. We should do a podcast or something. So as of right now, I don't really interview people that I don't know. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm kind of I have really incredible people in my corner that I know will provide so much value to the listener because they all have such different life experience that I'm so eager to get to their stories and so eager to have them on. Like, I just had a fellow FirstForm athlete, Stacy, on one of the last episodes. And man, his approach to life and his perspective of life and just the way that he goes about, his day and his mindset, I think it's really incredible, and it impacted me listening to it. And I know it impacted everyone that listened to it. That is a listener of the show. And I just have so many friends like that. And I'm like, I got to get through them first.
Yeah, his was really good. I loved his episode.
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't a question, but I really love this. She says, God uses you to reach people through your podcasts. I'm grateful and I always share.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world to me when you guys take time to let me know how it's impacting you, but also to take a step forward and share it, because then you guys get to be a part of the message too, right? So if you hear something that you just really aligns with you, you're like, yes, like this is what I believe and think, or this is really speaking to me. And then you take the step to share that with somebody, you get to be a part of like planting that seed inside of their mind and their heart, which hopefully will bring a lot of good fruit in their life. So thank you so much.
All right. Someone's asking, are you coming to FitCon Fort Worth?
I'm not. So FitCon Fort Worth, they planned it the same weekend as Summer Smash, which is just quite the schedule mishap on their part, I'm going to have to say. And I love FitCon. I'll be at FitCon Utah this coming weekend, which for you guys watching in real time, it was the last weekend. So I love FitCon. But why'd you have to plan it the same weekend as Summer Smash? Because you guys already know I'm going to be at Summer Smash. Yeah. And I hope that you'll be there too.
Can't miss that. All right. Is it safe to get back with an ex? Does love matter, or is she better off without me?
You know that saying, they're an ex for a reason? I just really believe that. I really believe that. And I know that there are very far and few in between people who have broken up and gotten back together and it ended up working out for them. But I just, in my experience, which is limited to my own life experience, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. For me personally, it's a no. For me personally, I'm not going to get back with an ex because I think it's an ex for a reason. You've learned everything you needed to learn. It's like, I've seen what I needed to see, and now I'm going to go a different way. That's just my approach. Again, not right or wrong.
All right. What is one thing you definitely want to do this year?
Go to Tulum. I have been looking at Instagram pages of travel pages for literally years at this point, and I just don't make time and I don't spend the money on myself to like have a little vacation, And I really would like to do that. And I've worked really hard to be where I'm at. I should do that. So one thing I'm going to do this year is go to Tulum.
I love that. And yes, like every time you go somewhere, it's always for work. Like I know you have fun too, but it's always for work. So I know you'll get to do that. And I'm so excited for you. And I'll be looking at your pictures like
she's
crying.
like, I'll literally book your flight.
Yeah.
Like you're going to do this.
No, I really will. Oh, how did you get so much cooler than me at podcasting? This is Chase Tuning.
I was going to say, this is Chase, huh? Because of you, bro. If you guys don't know Chase Tuning, I worked with him for a couple of years with my podcast with the post-production. So they would edit and post the podcast. So I love him. He's provided a lot of, help in my mentorship in my podcasting journey. So yeah, right, man. He's on episode like 500 and something. Wow. It's amazing. Like really respect for that. And he's had some really incredible guests on there. So I appreciate the little pat on the back, but bro, look who's talking.
Let's see. What got you into training BJJ?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I was exposed to, and BJJ is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for those that don't know. And I was exposed to that a few different times, but I remember one was at Tony Real World Tactical at his survival course that I did back in 2020, I believe it was. And they had a little jiu-jitsu section there. And I was like, this is really cool. And there's another guy there who's a black belt, Ruben, who's also like Miami and, police department, SWAT, all of that. He was teaching that segment. And I just remember being really amazed that even a woman and someone that was a lot less strong than these big men, that like we could still be effective in this way. And I was like, this is a really incredible tool to feel more safe, to be able to, have like some sort of a fighting chance against someone that's bigger than you. And obviously I was there for a survival course. Like I was learning to like really be capable in myself. And I thought that was really amazing. And then I had a few other like touch points with it, right? I had another touch point at this veterans outreach workout with some friends, and they had this jiu-jitsu section, and I was always like a little nervous to like go be a part of it, but I always wanted to, and so I just went and I just fucking went for it. Like my book publisher will tell you that the reason we even met is because she saw me like rolling on the ground with the guys, like giving it my all, clearly like not even a white belt and have no idea what I'm doing, but like really going at it, like really trying hard. And to me, it was so much fun. Like she'll say like I got up with like red marks all over me, but a big smile on my face. Yeah. And so that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu. And then I took a few classes last summer, was trying to get into it, but I was traveling a lot, didn't have a dedicated schedule. I would only get like maybe 3 a week or so. And then I injured myself, and long story short, for the last 8 weeks, I've been going 5-6 times a week. Most weeks, even when I travel, I've been getting it in. And I think I've definitely like drank the juice because I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. And it's hard because like it sucks to suck. And I have just really sucked at it for a long time. And people will be like, you don't suck, you're a beginner. Yeah, but like the reality is I suck too. It's both. Let's be real. Yeah. But I think it's important to have that experience of not always being like good at what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Like podcasting, I feel very comfortable with. Like I'm not uncomfortable here. I'm not outside of my comfort zone in the weight room. I'm not outside of my comfort zone there. In jiu-jitsu, it's like, okay, what's going on? You have so many things to think about. Like, that you're making a mistake every left turn. So you just have to like calm all of that down and be willing to just take the next step, right? It's like, okay, I'm probably not going to get submissions right now, but maybe I can just learn to not lose my position, right? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I love jiu-jitsu. I think every single woman and man, everybody should do it for a little bit, at least like get pretty capable in it, because it's not about just like rolling around the mats like when you're there training. Like truthfully, if someone were to come at me, and maybe it's all in my head, but I feel so much more capable. Yeah. Like I feel so much more capable than if I didn't know this. And I will say this especially for women, I see women a lot of the time wanting to get into self-defense. And so they take like boxing, which I think is really cool. And I've done that too. It's a lot of fun. So like have fun with it. But the reality of you boxing yourself out of a bad situation is like slim to none. Yeah. especially being female, especially having men that are overpowering you. Like if you are within striking distance and this man strikes you, like it just takes one, right? Whereas like when you learn jiu-jitsu, you actually get really comfortable with being basically on top of each other, like skin to skin. And like if someone were to come at you and you were to get that, you would have so many things in your pocket, like so many tools that you could use that don't involve your strength or being able to properly hit somebody. Right. So I could go on, but yeah, I love jiu-jitsu and I think everyone should try it at least.
Yeah. And then the assailant might be like, oh dang, she kind of knows her shit. Like maybe I should just not with this girl.
Never mind. I won't say that. Yeah. Like the goal is to be unfuckable with.
Right. And then he also said OSS with this.
Os.
Oh, os.
Yeah, it's like os. It's the thing that they say in jiu-jitsu. To be totally honest, I don't understand the definition of it. It's just what they say, and so you just go with it.
Okay, cool.
Os. I don't really know. They just do it, and you just go, uh-huh.
Yeah, like this.
Os.
Yeah. Someone wants to know, what do you like to listen to when you're at the gym?
Usually, if I'm weight training, it's some sort of like dubstep, EDM. Sometimes I like to listen to heavy metal. My favorite is when it's like heavy metal mixed with dubstep and EDM. But I also have modes where I just want to listen to like some gangster rap.
Lil
Wayne, yes. I love Lil Wayne. Just his voice like puts me in the zone.
Yeah. Okay. Are you enjoying your time in Houston now that you've moved back?
Yeah, so I've been back a year now, and I feel like I'm just now settling in, and I really love the setup that I have here, my home and my studio. It's really nice not to have to, I would have to drive, I would have to allot for like 45 minutes to get to the studio. So it's really nice just having that here. Alpha Land is incredible. I love having that here. My jiu-jitsu gym is honestly like one of my favorites that I've attended. And even though I'm new to jiu-jitsu, I've gone to quite a few different places since I travel so much. And I've gotten exposure to like different, professors and styles of teaching. And I just love my gym here. Mm-hmm. So I think the communities that I'm a part of is making it really enjoyable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How often do you play the piano?
Not often enough. Really not often enough. I wish I played every day, but realistically, probably 2 to 3 times a week. And I love it. It's another form of therapy for me. Whereas like the weights and the gym and even like jiu-jitsu, they allow me to get out of my head and into action. But like with piano, I'll flow with it. And when I'm doing it, it's like I actually don't have any thoughts in my head at all. It's only emotion. So like I'm able to like work through and feel and process emotion in ways that I don't when I'm training, lifting, doing fighting or whatever it is, right? It's just such a different outlet for me, and it's really beautiful. Another outlet that I really like is writing. I write a lot of things that I may or may not like publish one day that when I'm in that mode, it just like flows right out of me. And I really enjoy that as another outlet too.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're really good at the piano.
Oh, thanks.
Love it.
You're so sweet.
How is your brother doing now after his incident?
So my brother was one of the 3 HPD officers that got shot a little while back. I shared it on the podcast and I shared it on my stories. So thank you so much for asking. He's doing really well. He did end up getting the bullet out of his arm, thank God. And he's doing really well. He's recovering well. I don't know if you guys know, but Trace Body Rejuvenation, which is the bodywork place that I go to here in Houston, Texas, they decided to treat the officers to help them get back into, working shape and healthy and whole again. So it's been cool. He's been working with the same, people that I work with, and he's feeling so much better. He's been back at his workouts. So he's doing good. He's in great spirits. He was ready to get back out there like the next day, but obviously his body needed more time to recover. So I appreciate you guys asking. He's doing really well.
Oh, good. When are you posting more YouTube videos?
Funny you should ask. So you guys know I shared on my Instagram story. I started this journey of, it's essentially like Evolve Training Camp is what I have been calling it. And long story short, I started with some videographers and we had planned to have the series ready for you guys. It didn't end up being the right fit for that project. So that has been put on hold altogether. But then I started working with these new photographer team, and they've really done an incredible job. So we are going to move forward and get our first few videos ready. So I would say within the next month, expect me to be back on YouTube and be consistent. But I want you guys to know it's not from me being like lazy or not doing it. It's like a lot of roadblocks have come in between, and I've just had to take the roadblock, figure out what the next step is, and find a new solution. So we found a new solution, and I hope to have that up for you guys within the next month. And once I do, it will be consistent every single week. So look forward to that.
Yes, lots of roadblocks. I'm very excited for this.
She's like, you're summarizing.
Yes. When are you coming back to Arizona? We missed you and have plans for you.
Oh, yes. I don't have plans to be back in Arizona, but I have a lot of friends and people that I love in Arizona. So I hope to be back. Let's see, maybe like middle to end of the summer, I think would be cool. But also Arizona is so hot in the summer. So maybe you guys should just come here, you know,
yes.
Bring the party to Houston. I have guest rooms. You guys are, all of them are more than welcome.
But it's hot here too.
It's not as hot as Arizona.
You're right. All right. How do you find your purpose when you feel that your passion isn't fitting or you don't belong?
That just means you haven't found it yet, and that's okay. And sometimes you follow your heart and you get into something thinking that it's going to be it for you. And then you get into the mode of everything and you realize like, this is not it. And that's okay. That's a part of the process. And you just have to understand I'm at this step in my journey. And this step in my journey is realizing that this isn't really the way for me. Or maybe it's the modality at which you're doing that thing. Sometimes people are actually in the correct field, but they're doing a job that's a different one than they should be doing. And so it requires more of like a transfer of from this department to that department within the same thing, right? Sometimes you are in the right area, but you're going about it the wrong way. So I would encourage you to just try a different way, try a different thing. And maybe you are one of those people that needs to take a sharp left turn and go a completely different direction. That's okay too. You guys are never stuck in a box. Like so many people put themselves in this box and they think that because they got this degree, because they have been working at this job, that that's their life and they have to stay confined to this box. You at any moment can literally decide to rewrite your entire story. Literally, you can decide I'm going to create a whole new chapter for myself, a whole new story. I know I was a nurse for the last 15 years, but I've decided I actually want to teach PE at school. And I want to teach kids about how important it is to be healthy and help them to be active and to have fun with it again, right? Like at any moment in time, you can literally choose to create an entire new life. And I think that's what's really beautiful about the gift of life, right? Every single day you wake up and you were literally gifted life. So if you find yourself in a spot where you're unhappy, you're unsatisfied, you're unfulfilled, don't get so down, beaten, and discouraged. See it as an opportunity. Say, okay, so I'm aware that I need to make some changes. So what I'm going to do is take the next step. Maybe right now you can't go from the field that you're in into a whole new field by tomorrow. That's not realistic, but what can you do right now today? Can you start to look at different options for yourself? Can you start to talk to friends about what they see in you, right? Ask them, what are some strengths that you think that I have? Because to other people, they'll say, you are an incredible leader. You are an incredible speaker. You are an incredible support system. And to you, it's just how you are. So you don't think that it's special. You don't think that it's important. And that's why I think it's good to ask like a trusted friend or family or resource what they see in you, because then you can take those strengths and see how you can apply that to something that you really care about and that you love. And just understand that even when you feel like you find quote unquote it will evolve over time, and it will, at a certain point, you will use that same gift to do something completely new. Like, I love what I'm doing here. I love my online coaching and mentorship business. I love my podcast so much. I love creating content. I love the brands that I'm working with, but I'm well aware that this is nothing compared to where I'm going to be 10 years from now. And I know that 10 years from now, I'm going to be doing something completely different, but it will just be an evolved version of what I'm currently doing right now today. So I think when you have that clear picture of where you're going and how there's a process and there's steps to everything, you can take all the pressure off of yourself to have it figured out right now and just say, where am I at in this process? Oh, I'm still in the figure it out part. So I need to go try a new class. I need to put myself in a new environment, and I need to stick with it even when it sucks, even when I feel like I'm failing, even when I want to quit, because I need to get past that threshold to see if there really is something here for me, right? I really got to give it that full shot. So I just want to encourage you, if you haven't found it, keep trying new things, and you will come across what this current season of you is meant to be doing, knowing full well that that will change and evolve over time.
Wow, I love that. That was great.
Thanks.
Okay, when are you releasing your book?
Good question. I will be releasing it this summer. So we are coming towards the end of getting it ready to go, and I will be going on book tour. So I'm really excited to announce that book tour, because it's going to be something different than anything that you guys have ever seen before. So get excited for that.
Gosh. All right. What is it like to have your own company / brand and to be an entrepreneur? What are the highs and lows?
The highs is that you have no problem working overtime for your passion. It's actually harder to create boundaries to not just work nonstop, right? So what I'm saying is, like, when you're putting in the work for your business and your passion, like it's effortless in that way. Now, I would say the downside, at least in my experience, has been always feeling like a failure, always feeling like you're missing the target, always feeling, I guess, just like a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on your plate. And maybe that's not true for everybody. It might just be my personality type and how I am. So again, take this with a grain of salt. But I think it's just one of those things where it's like you're always setting the next goal. And if you're not careful, you can always feel like you are never measuring up, not realizing that if you were just to assess where you're currently at, it's way further than where you used to be, right? So I think it becomes harder to truly assess where you're at, and that takes a lot of practice. And I think it also takes some like mentors, some people that have been there to speak into your life and to really give you that dose of reality, especially if you're somebody that can be really hard on yourself. So yeah, I'll say it's easy to work overtime, but then, a downside is that you often like work a lot. Like it's hard to find that work-life balance. And there's a lot of other things I could get into it, with that, but it really is a beautiful journey. It teaches you a lot about yourself. You have to learn how to take failure, because you have moments of failure, right? But not take that as an identity and not apply that to this business is a failure or I am a failure. No, it's a business, and in business, you're going to have successes and failures. You have to take the hit and you have to readjust, and you have to like emotionally detach from it. One thing I think I've really learned to do in a healthy manner is to detach from the momentary failures emotionally, because before maybe I'd get so upset by it. I would take things so personally. And now I just look at it from a very realistic standpoint, an objective standpoint of saying, okay, what did I do? Is there something I could have done better? Do I need to outsource for a better strategy, a way to approach this? Is there something that's outside of my perspective and knowledge that I can gain from somebody else in order to apply this and have a different result next time? Now it's like when things happen, I don't even worry about it. I'm not worried about what happened or whose fault it was. I'm worried about how do we get to the end result? How do we get the solution that we're looking for? So those are some things that have just kind of helped me in that journey.
Awesome. Okay, how do you prioritize your MMA style training with weightlifting, and has your nutrition changed?
This is such a good question, and it's taken me quite a few weeks to figure out how to balance the jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and weightlifting. At first, I was trying to do everything all at once, and I was like, wow, that does not work. Like, I can't continue to lift in the gym the way that I always have, which is, very bodybuilder style, like to failure, using pyramid sets, like all sorts of just craziness in the gym. That does not work when after that you're so sore you can barely move your arms, and then you're having to like hold your hands up for Muay Thai or roll over your shoulders in jiu-jitsu. Like, it just does not work. So I have learned a pretty good balance of I'm doing jiu-jitsu 5-6 times a week, and then I'll do Muay Thai 3 to 4 times a week, and then I lift for sure 3 times a week, sometimes 4, so 3 to 4 times a week. And that has been a really good change of pace for me and my weight sessions themselves. Now I'm doing a different mixture of things. So I'll go in and do a tricep where it's like one of the tricep exercises will be for strength. One will be a plyometric, like quick conditioning style workout or exercise. And then the third one will be something like core or maybe another strength. So that way I'm working on my strength, my speed, my agility, my core, my balance. And then aside from that, I'll do that like a couple times a week. And then sometimes I'll go in the gym and I'm like really just, I'm feeling a much slower day, right? Maybe it's like the whole week is adding up. And that day I give myself the freedom to do like a slow bodybuilder style workout where I'll go in there and I'll do like single sets or maybe I'm losing the word superset. Yeah. My mind literally went blank. So I'll do like a single set or I'll do a superset and I'll just take it easy and I'll just, basically get a really good pump, nothing to failure, nothing, just nothing too crazy because I know that I have to allow my body to move and be functional. I've also never done more stretching, foam rolling, dynamic warm-ups. I've never done more than what I'm doing right now. And it feels really, really good. My whole goal with this is to be a really well-rounded athlete, to perform well, to have good conditioning, to feel, look good and perform well. And I'm really attaining that goal. I really feel really good about it. So, that's one thing that I feel like I always kind of missed in bodybuilding is at the end of my show preps, I didn't feel like an athlete. I actually felt like I was literally dying. And I always missed that athletic version of me that's fast and quick and conditioned and strong. And, I really miss that. And right now I'm just really fulfilled in that way. I'm really feeling that. So it feels good.
Awesome. Okay, let's do 2 more.
Okay.
When did you decide to start working with FirstForm and become an athlete for them?
So I believe it was 2014 when they first reached out to me, and I had heard of FirstForm through one of my long-term friends, Carrie Hayes, who has been with FirstForm for forever. So I'd already heard about them through her. And then when they reached out to me, I decided to try some of their protein just to see what it was about. And that's when I tried the level 1 ice cream sandwich protein, which all my OGs know was like my number 1 protein forever. And I was hooked on the product, but then I read the vision and mission, statement. So like vision, mission, and core values on their website. And I literally felt like I was reading my diary online because it literally was like who I am at my core. And I just so heavily aligned with them. I remember my first trip to FirstForm HQ. Tony was actually there, real world tactical. So we were at our first HQ trip together back in the day. And I just remember like meeting everybody in person, and it was the old HQ, which I don't know if many people will remember at this point. And I knew, I was like, I will be a FirstForm athlete. And back then I wasn't an athlete yet. I was just a Legionnaire. I was working with them. And so I really worked my way up, and it's just been really incredible. Now it's been like 8 years or so. Yeah, about 8 years. And these people are like my family. We've been through so much together. People have moved across the country. They've gotten married. They've gone through loss and heartache. And we've all just been the constant in each other's lives. And we're also a group of people that demand excellence from ourselves. So when we get in, around each other, even just for these athlete weekends or for Summer Smash, you can't help but to elevate. Like you can't actually stay in the room and be comfortable if you are not elevating or pushing yourself or demanding that excellence from yourself. If you walk in that room and you're not doing that, you will feel very uncomfortable and out of place. So it's the best kind of room to be in if you want to grow and really reach that highest potential of yourself.
Cool. All right, last question. When are you at your most creative? What environment, mindset, music, people, etc. are you around?
Most creative. Oof, that's a really good question. The number one thing that comes to mind for me is the ocean and sunsets, which is kind of hard to say because I don't experience that right now. But definitely when I'm my most creative is in nature. I think nature brings something out of me, or music. Music really like touches my soul in such a deep way. And I really, like sometimes I'll put music on and that's when I'll write as well. And I don't know what that will like transpire into one day. Maybe it will be music, but I think nature, music, and then friends that are able to expand upon my thinking. I have certain friends in my life and they really have this ability to expand me, meaning like when we have conversations, it's things that I would never think of, questions that I, as a podcast, interviewer, would never think to ask. And I'm like obsessed with having those kinds of conversations because I'm like this kid on Christmas. I'm like, where does your brain come from? And how do you think about these things? And that's why I think people in general are incredible and everybody has something like really beautiful to offer. It just is a matter of helping them bring that out or giving them the space for them to allow that side of themselves to come out. You know, I had a really incredible conversation with one of my girlfriends this last weekend, and she was even saying, she was like, I could never have this conversation with other friends of mine. And I'm like, I'm over here like nerding out. I'm like, these are my favorite conversations. You know, I want to discover like all the intricacies of who you are and why you think the way that you think and what you believe about God and the world and our purpose. Like, I think that stuff is just so life-giving and expanding. So yeah, I feel more creative definitely when I'm talking to people like that.
I love that. That was really beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Well, you had a lot of kind of repetitive questions.
Okay.
So I feel like that kind of covers it.
Okay. Well, that is going to wrap up today's episode. Quick reminder, the link for the retreat is down below. Click it. Read all about it and let me know if you have a question. I would love to see you guys there. Jess will be there. It'll be an incredible time.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If you guys would like me to do more Q&As or you found value out of this kind of episode, please do me a favor and DM the podcast Instagram page, which is at Evolve with Emily podcast. So DM that page and say, hey, I really liked the Q&A. Can you guys do that again? And then when we post a Q&A, you got to submit questions. That's how this thing works. Okay. Also, I do think in the future, I would love to have a way for you guys to actually write in like a voice note. And I'm thinking we can actually do it through the DM on the podcast page, have you guys do a voice note like, hey, this is, you can either say your name or not, right? And then ask your question because I know that we can play it through here, right?
Yep. I love that.
So let's maybe do that for the next one. I think that'd be so cool to have your voice on here so that you guys can be on the podcast with me. I think that would be dope. That's the next best thing. If I can't have you in person, I can at least have you on the show.
There you go.
Know?
That's how you get to be on the show.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Oh yeah. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
You want to be a guest on the show and I don't know you yet, write in a question with your voice note. Which we will post asking for those submissions. So don't randomly send them because they might get lost.
Oh, yes.
But thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I will see you guys in the next episode of Evolve with Emily. Bye guys.